Hey guys, how's it going? So, going back to the Android devices, in this video we get to talk about another Samsung device. That's right, today we are going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy S4 that came out in 2013 and see how it holds up 9 years later in 2022. The Samsung Galaxy S4 is an interesting device. It was the first large display device the S series ever got, coming at a solid 5-inch display. The Samsung Galaxy S4 was an upgrade from the S3, which had a 4.8-inch display. Now, on the front, it has a Super AMOLED display, a full HD panel with a decent amount of bezels. Comparing it to some newer designs that are in the market today, the design does feel a little aged, but despite that, it's actually a pretty good looking panel. And let's actually talk about the bezels. The S series of phones made by Samsung, even then at the time, had pretty slim bezels in comparison to some of its direct competitors, which is impressive for a 2013 device. Even comparing it to some of the latest panels from the Galaxy S series, this one holds up pretty well, and I'd say it's one of the strong assets of this phone. On the bottom, it has a micro USB port and a headphone jack, which is cool to see considering most flagships don't come with a headphone jack anymore. It's got the volume buttons and the power button at the side, and a home button, which is also another throwback since the home button isn't really a common thing in today's flagship smartphones either. Now, design-wise, it's got a smooth and curvy design which fits well in the hand. I think back then, phones were more ergonomic and designed in a way that felt comfortable in the hands. But build quality-wise, this phone does feel a little cheap. It does have a plastic kind of feeling, holding it in hand. Comparing it to even some of the mid-ranged phones we get today, the build quality has definitely not aged well. Now, despite the plastic materials, it actually has its own advantages. Not only is the phone durable, but it also comes with a removable plastic back, which means it has a removable battery as well. Now, back in the day, this phone had a lot of hype surrounding it. You'd see this phone in advertising posters, billboards, magazine covers, advertisements. It was a big deal and pretty unmissable. Again, this thing with its high resolution display, removable battery, removable storage, the hardware on this thing was so impressive. Samsung really stacked the decks in their favor with this device. Now, the cameras on this thing are not that bad. It has a single 13 megapixel camera on the back with a 2 megapixel camera on the front. You can record 1080p videos on this phone, which is good, but overall this camera setup is decent, but it struggles under low light. You can still get decent results under better lighting, but it doesn't compare well with the phones out today. Now, 13 megapixel isn't a bad pixel count, and I'm not gonna say this camera is worse in any way, but it's definitely not good anymore in this day and age. Software-wise, this phone came with Android 4 Jelly Bean and ended on Android 5 Lollipop. Now, as it is, the software on this thing is completely outdated. I'm talking ancient. But by rooting it and custom ROMing this device, you can get a pretty stable version of Android, since this phone has been around for a while. Let's talk about the battery life. It has a 2600 mAh battery. Over time, the battery has degraded and it's not really that great anymore, so you might want to replace it in case you're getting it. But other than that, I think you'll be fine when it comes to battery life. One of my favorite things, however, about this phone is the removable battery. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when it comes to the battery. Now, in terms of performance, this thing has the Exynos 5410 octa chip inside of it with 2 GB of RAM. Now, in all honesty, you won't be getting a good amount of performance. I'd rather recommend getting at least the Samsung Galaxy S6 or the S6 Edge if you're looking for a decent performing phone. I can only see myself recommending the Galaxy S4 only if you're looking to custom ROM, but even then it's hard to justify its worth, especially as a main daily driver device. So my recommendation would be to not pick this phone at all. If you are someone who does heavy usage like playing games and stuff like that, then getting something like a S10 will be a million times better. So in terms of whether I recommend getting a Samsung Galaxy S4 in 2022, I'd say it's no longer worth it. I won't even recommend the Samsung Galaxy S5. The least I'll suggest is an S6 or S6 Edge, which makes a lot more sense to still be using in 2022. But in terms of my recommendation, upgrading to something like an maybe S8, S9 or S10 makes a lot more sense, as those phones have one UI. But I would say at least get an S6 or S6 Edge. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any more questions, leave it down in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, it will mean so much to me. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.